Starting man Dan with the chart, guys. We're going to check in on Bitcoin in the crypto space here. Just a heads up, there's a lot of issues with the internet world today. We had the NYSE having issues. Then we had YouTube having issues with the prior stream I was doing. We got X is having some issues. So if I dip out, YouTube is having issues again. But that definitely makes me a lot more cautious trading when you have things like the NYSE having issues and names halting and data disruptions on our charts and things like that. So hasn't really impacted the crypto space as far as I can tell. We got a big frog right outside the window. So that's a good thing. So Bitcoin started the week with a nice big bull move up. And we did reject initially from resistance. This is the most important level for me from here, and that's 70.6 thousand. And essentially, if we reject from that level, we're going to keep trading sideways for the week. And if we don't, we're knocking on the door of all-time highs. So bulls are liking the fact that the start to this week is positioning them where, worst case scenario, we keep tightening up for a while. And looking at the short term, we got a 15-minute equilibrium. Nice and clear, just a lot of volatility in both directions. As soon as you drop this much and bounce 50% retracement, you know to scout the equilibrium as the most likely scenario. And so now we're going to look for a lower high compared to 69.7. And this is likely going to tighten up into the stock market close 2 hours from now. And then the direction that that breaks is going to tell us which time frame to be watching. If it's a bear break, probabilities will increase of the tightening range. And again, if we fail 70.6 thousand, I'm just going to be viewing this as this to just keep tightening up. And if the 15-minute equilibrium breaks bull, then we're going to be looking back up towards 70,000. So just digesting the morning move at the moment. Again, good start for the bulls. We have a bit of weakness in the broader stock market today, nothing massive. And we are watching for whether or not that resistance rejects the price. ETH is close to shaping up a daily downtrend. So 3,700 is the most important level. And it's a bit of a wonky head and shoulders because of that volatile candle there. But similar concept, just going from an uptrend to a downtrend if we break 37. So again, just simple statements. If 3,700 holds, the Ethereum bulls keep complete control. If that level is lost, the daily downtrend confirms and we zoom out and scout a weekly higher low. Could this be a cup and handle shaping up? That would be possible. If it's a weekly bull flag on consolidation, we'll be talking about the possibility of a cup and handle. But one step at a time, do the bears confirm the daily downtrend or not? Clearly the bears are defending short-term resistance here. 38.46, we topped out. And then today, 38.50. So essentially a double top at that level. We'll see if the bears can follow through and break support. ETHE still trading sideways. Not much going on there the last few days. And the most important thing for me regarding Ethereum, aside from when do we begin trading the ETF, is ETH BTC weekly chart. Do we confirm the first weekly uptrend in years or not? Clear downtrend resistance line, but it's all about price. And if we can form a weekly higher low, ideally holding the back test of these EMAs, and then confirm the first weekly uptrend in years, that will be a big increase in the probability that a longer term bottom is being set. And then we would also see the first bull cross of those EMAs. If that shapes up, it would be the first bull cross of those EMAs in the last year and a half. So the next month is going to be pretty important as to whether that shapes up or not. If we give it back and go 50% retracement, we're going to say, here we go again. Lack of follow through, bulls not proving anything in the long term. Feel free to request any altcoins. I am going to get to those in just a bit. First, want to look at some crypto stocks. So COIN, daily inside bar today. I'm expecting to stop out. I've got a swing position with a stop loss 215 essentially. And we held that level Friday, but again, we're shaping up I'm a lot more confident that weekly lower highs and tightening weekly ranges are coming in a bunch of altcoins like Sol and a bunch of these crypto stocks than I am in Bitcoin. But that's potentially a clue. If Bitcoin's 50-50 as to whether I think this tightening sideways daily range breaks bull or bear, well, if a bunch of these other little pieces of the puzzle are indicating potential weekly lower highs, that would increase the probabilities that it breaks bear. But not ready to say that just yet. Essentially, if coin loses the daily uptrend and breaks 217, that will definitely be a point in favor of the bear's bigger picture. We had MARA with a strong start today, but just look at the bear control the last 2 weeks almost, where we've closed lower than the open 7 out of 8 days, and just big upper wicks. The bulls have attempted to make their move, and the bears have been knocking the price down pretty convincingly. And if we look at, it's usually a morning move here that fails. Today, big push up, give it all back. Last Wednesday, big push up, give it back. Morning push up, give it back in the afternoon. Morning, give it back. Morning, give it back. You get the idea. The afternoons have not been strong in these crypto stocks recently. And so again, bigger picture for MARA. Weekly lower high potentially shaping up. And if that's the case, we will look for a good bit more tightening up. One altcoin that I keep talking about and will keep talking about until weekly EMA 12 is lost is Binance. Tightening weekly range just broke bull. We didn't break the highest level of 645, but again, we just keep setting these weekly higher lows and holding EMA 12, and there's just nothing to worry about for the bulls as long as that keeps happening. It's a slow grind up, and it's certainly one of the stronger altcoins out there, just in the sense that we are knocking on the door of multiple year highs right now. Not many altcoins are knocking on the door of multiple year highs. 4 hour, going to look for a higher low on the current pullback. Daily, holding strong. So keep an eye on Binance, BNB, BTC. What would be a red flag is if we confirm a weekly downtrend from here, but no sign of it just yet. Just got to be, again, if I'm bullish something, this looks good, this is a strong daily chart, I put on my bear glasses and say, all right, what do I need to be aware of so it doesn't catch me by surprise? And setting a weekly lower high on BNB BTC would be a red flag if that were to shape up. But solid day for the Binance bulls. And it's just a question of, can we break to the highest level in years and be testing all-time highs here in June? We can say we're positioned well if Bitcoin does break bull. This is one of the altcoins that will be pretty close to its all-time high as well. All right, reading the chat room. So we'll look at Sol here. Again, Sol is one of the names where there's a potential weekly lower high shaping up. If we drop down and break 161, weekly lower high is set, and I'll just be viewing it like this. And we're going to look for this for June into July. And so we're knocking on the door, breaking support. It is still holding at the moment. But if we break 161, the daily downtrend confirms into weekly consolidation. And we then scout a weekly higher low. So no major red flags. Again, same thing, because of this bull bounce, we have cushion where it's a worst case scenario. We tighten up in an equilibrium sideways, in my opinion. So bulls are liking that positioning where essentially worst case scenario just gets boring for the summer. And we know that, generally in the stock market, volume drops off considerably in the summer. And I would not be surprised if the same thing happens here in crypto. You can see 20-week average volume is already trending down. And from its peak up at our highs here, set at 51 million a week, we're currently now at 37 million a week. So that's about a 25% reduction in the average volume over the last couple of months, which is normal. When you're forming an equilibrium, you expect volume to drop off. Guess we'll look at Pepe just because we got the frog in the background. So still strong here as well, tightening daily range. So breakout, higher low, lower high, higher low. So the most important support for me is 1388. The most important resistance is 15.8. And one of those levels is going to break within the next 2 days, most likely. Bear break, we zoom out and look for a weekly higher low. Bull break, we're going to be testing that recent high. And that's the all-time high. Did we get the 4-hour oversold? Not quite. Looks like the bulls front ran it a bit. 4-hour RSI got down to 32s. ICP. So again, I go to the weekly first. I want to know, is it similar or different than other things? This name is weaker. Why can I say it's weaker? Because most names have a weekly bounce underway. And, you know, if just comparing, if this were Sol, we'd be trading up here right now, watching for the possibility of a weekly lower high. ICP is just grinding support. And there's a very clear support zone here. And bulls are going to do everything they can to hold the $11 to $12 range. But look at all this resistance as well. I mean, aside from the obvious break bullish up here, we can say that the majority of 2024 has been trading between 11 and 15. Plenty of tops on the weekly time frame around the $15 range, plenty of bottoms around the $11, $12 range. So watching that range. Daily downtrend, anything under 1259, just a daily lower high. And have to see the bulls convincingly hold this support and get a weekly bounce going back up towards $14. If we get a bear break of this wall of support, we're going to be looking at clear monthly consolidation being underway. So line in the sand is drawn, and we'll see if bulls are able to defend it or not. Ideally, Bitcoin holds 66,000s for a while, but we'll know a good bit more in the next couple days. The FOMC meeting is a week from Wednesday. I don't think we're going to still be sideways a week from now, but it is certainly possible. Tomorrow could give us a daily inside bar if we pull back a bit further from here. We've got the NASDAQ. Let's just check in on the NASDAQ. So, you know, NASDAQ can trade between this range for certainly a few days. Near. So here's another one that's looking pretty good overall. Simple statement. If weekly EMA 12 is support, the bulls don't have anything to worry about. That's been holding for 6 months. Last higher low, 653, is the most important longer term support. Bulls really want to set a new weekly higher low soon here. Again, same thing. Worst case, if we don't, we're just going to look to tighten up. Daily downtrend. So bulls need to regain a daily uptrend to set a weekly higher low, and 653 is the most important support level. NASDAQ dropping pretty hard on the 5-minute. Just a pretty big red 5-minute candle. Let's see if Bitcoin's responding. Not too meaningful. But near, definitely one of the stronger. Let's go near BTC. It's pulling back here recently, but a couple weeks ago, we did just get up there near the high. Again, it's a bullish chart, the near USD, but if I'm going to put on my bear glasses, I just want to make sure that I'm watching this possibility of a potential bigger picture rising wedge on the BTC pairing. But ideally, we bounce and tighten up a bit more first. Watch those weekly higher lows, just a nice crystal clear guide. TIA. So this is one where monthly equilibrium is going to be the most likely scenario. We're scouting a monthly higher low. Bulls have to break $12 for it to be set. We then need 50% bounce retracement So goal for bulls, if we break 12, get up to 14s, because bulls want to see something like this shape up. And so the burden's on bulls to set this monthly high or low. Daily's tightening up. Bears are doing everything they can to defend the $12 range. Bulls must hold 1036. If we lose it, we're going to be rejecting from that resistance, and then we'll look for an equilibrium, 3-day time frame. So if we fail here, I'll be viewing this as a low, high, higher low, and lower high to just keep tightening up a lot of June. So you can see the theme here with a lot of these altcoins. Bulls are holding on. If we break short-term supports, weekly consolidation in many names, in this instance 3-day consolidation, but then a lot of tightening up and sideways for a good bit of June, in my opinion. So we'll know within a week or so if we break bear, boring June. LTC longer term. So here, I mean, just look how range bound we are here over the last 2 years. 40 to 115 to 56 to 113, very clear double top. And this isn't a good looking equilibrium by any means. It's sloppy, but again, it's just a big, wide, sideways range that we can trade within for a long time. And very clearly, 115, 113, double top sucked that momentum away from the bulls. And yeah, LTC, BTC is just slow bleed forever. I mean, honestly, if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, this is the kind of chart that you put up and say, see, this is why you don't go into shit coins. And it's hard to argue against that. I mean, being in Litecoin rather than Bitcoin for any longer period of time has been the wrong decision. Just got to call it like it is. I have a long-term no-touch Litecoin position. It's small. It's not significant. But why not? It's free at this point. But yeah, if I sell anything, that's going to be the first to go. XRP. Again, another one. Just look at this range for so many months. A year now. Clear support, 41 to 42. We've held it 3 times. Clear resistance, 70 to 75. Monthly inside bar just formed. If that breaks bull, I'm going to look for a lower high compared to 70 to 75 and just keep tightening up through the summer. But the burden's on bulls. Wow, look how sideways we are. 3-day time frame, volatility's coming here soon. Within the next 2 weeks. Low, high, higher, low. So this is a good looking equilibrium, just nice and clear. Bulls need to hold 486 for another higher low. Let's see how tight we can get before the break takes place. But again, if I'm not actively trading the crypto space because of the fees. It makes no sense for me to do so when stock trading is free and just as volatile. But if I were a crypto trader, this would be one where I say XRP, 3-day time frame. I write it down for the conveyor belt of trades. I know sometime in the next week or two, this pattern is going to break one direction or the other and give a trade opportunity. And so if I'm only watching XRP, it's going to be extremely boring. But that's why I got to have 5 different setups that I'm watching. Maybe one's on the hourly chart that's going to break today or tomorrow. And I got another setup on the daily chart that's going to break this week. And I got this setup that's going to break within the next couple weeks. I got a weekly chart setup that's going to break within the next month. I got a monthly setup that's going to break within the next 4 months. And that makes it so there's always something coming down the pipeline as for a trade that is incoming eventually when tightening range breaks. BITF. So decent bounce. We will have to confirm a weekly uptrend. So whenever we top out here, we need that higher low and higher high if this is going to follow through. But for now, it's the daily uptrend that is our guide. Anything above 194 will be a daily higher low. Next resistance, 242 to 256. But a nice grind up. Certainly different than peers over the last week. I don't think anything else is. Here's CLSK grinding down, Riot grinding down, MARA grinding down, so that's a good thing. But volume obviously, well, not bad. $45 million a day. It's more than I thought it would be, being a $2 stock. Bonk. Hey, Crypto Kitty. Guess what? If Bonk confirms a daily downtrend as a result of the next bounce, there's plenty of space for a daily lower high. If we confirm the daily downtrend, guess what we're going to do in June? Low, high, higher low, lower high, scout the higher low. Next thing you know is July or August. The table is set where if bears win this short-term battle to start June, sideways for a while. Sideways summer. Is that what we're going to be calling it here? Maybe. That's right, Chris. If you start to feel bored, action likely coming sooner rather than later. Possible outcomes for the FOMC meeting. So what I do is go to FOMC probabilities, and that gives us a nice FedWatch tool. We can see when it's coming. We can see there's a 99.9% chance that we don't get a change. So we're real confident in that. So what does that mean? Where's the volatility going to come in? The volatility will come from Powell's forward-looking statements. So we won't expect significant volatility at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll expect the volatility to start when he begins speaking at 2:30 and beyond. Essentially what the market is doing right now is saying, are we getting any rate cuts this year? And every time he gives some statements and we have to try and interpret, well, does that mean one's coming or one's not coming? But as always, for me, it's always price action in response. It's just nice to know when the volatility is coming, but I don't care what he says at all. All I care about is what the numbers say as they move around in response to his words. Overall, broader market still strong. We're looking for weekly higher lows in the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Bulls would love if those get set soon, because that would be weekly bull flags looking to new all-time highs, and that could help Bitcoin test its all-time high as well here in the short term and maybe fend off a sideways summer. But again, we'll know a good bit more in another week. Probably the FOMC reaction, but patiently waiting for the next bit of information to help us determine probabilities for the summer. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for the likes and shares and things like that. We also have the ETH ETF to be looking forward to at some point as well. So maybe it won't be too boring. GME certainly perking up. We've got the drama going on with Crypto Kitty. Not Crypto Kitty. Roaring Kitty. All right, do good things.